All right, this video is all about how to graph a inequality equation on a graph. So, to get started, we are going to first start with something you already know how to do. So if we had y, we're taking this equation right here. If we had y equals 2/3 x minus 4, you know that you would start right here at -4. That's our y-intercept. And then you know that this is our slope, 2/3. So from there we'd go up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3. I hope you're bored with that because you should know this quite well by now. And that should be just easy information for you. But now, what happens if we change this sign from an equal sign? And let's say that we instead make this sign a greater than or equal to, we'll say. Actually, let's just start with greater than. We're going to start with greater than here. If I were to graph y is greater than 2/3 x minus 4, you're going to notice something, that this line will not move at all. I still have the -4 as my y-intercept. I still have my slope of up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3. But there is one thing that's going to change. Do you notice over here that if it has an inequality sign that does not have an equal sign, we now need to change that to a dotted line. So we need to take this line here and we need to adjust that and make that a dotted line. The reason for that is just like when you graphed on the x-axis or on a number line, you had an open circle, which means that point was not included. A dashed line means all the points on one side or the other of this are included, but the points actually on this line are not included. So we need to first make this a dashed line because there is no equal sign right here. Now, which way do we shade? Notice that this is y is greater than. Greater than signs mean to, right here, shade up. So we need to take a little handy dandy shader. I'm going to try and take my little highlighter here if I can. And let's see if I can get a highlighter. And we'll use yellow. And we are going to, because it's greater than, we're going to shade up. So if you were to start at -4 and shade up, we would shade everything going this direction. Well, it doesn't matter what point I pick. I can pick this random point or this random point, and I shade straight up for all of those. You like my nice straight lines right there? Yeah, this is what happens when you do it by hand. Anyways, you'll notice, and if I kept shading everything up, eventually everything on this top side would be a solid shaded yellow that side. So that's how you graph this inequality right here. So let's change this just slightly. And I think I have to move this. Give me a moment to move this and I'll have it back in a moment for you. Here we go. Now I can slide it back. So we're going to change this from being a greater than sign to being a greater than or equal to sign. So, because it's greater than or equal to, now the points on this line would be included. So we would change this line from a dashed line now to a solid line. So let's take this. We're going to change that from that type of line back to a solid line. And now that's how we would change that. Does that make sense? What would we do if this were not a greater than sign, but instead it was a less than or equal to sign? Well, now all the shading that I did before down here needs to go down here. You know, let's just get rid of it and I can reshade it. How about if we do that? Get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. And now we're going to shade not above the line, but rather we're going to shade below the line. So any point on there, we can start at the -4, we shade straight down. So everything shades down for us. Going down and down and down. And I think you get the point on that. I don't think I have to shade the whole thing, but here, that gives you a good idea of how you shade down from there. So when you have an inequality, you do it just as you would have done graphing an equation in y equals mx plus b form. You'll notice it's still in y equals mx plus b form. So graph it the same way. If it is less than or greater than, you use a dashed line. If it has an equal sign with it, so greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, it's a solid line. If it's greater than, then you shade straight up. If it's less than, you shade straight down. hopefully that makes sense to you. Good luck as you're solving these questions.